in Tokyo, Japan, where IAFOR is holding its annual Asian conference on arts and humanities, cultural studies and social sciences. I am joined here by Professor Edelheim from Hokkaido University in Japan. Welcome to the conference. Thank you for being here, Professor. And could you briefly introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
So I'm a professor of tourism and media at the Hokkaido University's Research Faculty of Communication and Media. It's one of the few places in the world where tourism is connected to media rather than being connected to management or business. And that's also one of the reasons why I love to work there, because it sort of combines my interests in seeing how these things are having an impact on our lives.
And you presented today, and could you tell us what your presentation was about?
So my presentation was talking about multimodality and polarization in society. And what I investigated in my presentation was how polarization comes about and what the causes are, and also whether it is as big as quite often is seen in media. And then I was leading that discussion on to multiliteracies and multimodality, how we make sense of our world in different modes. And in order to understand how these modes work, we need to be literate in more ways than literacy used to be. And I finally led this into discussions about philosophy and how values stand at the core of actions. So by understanding values, we also can do actions that lead to a less polarized world.
Starting with the first section of your presentation, a little bit of competition and conflict over limited resources in a society is natural, normal, and some would even argue that for a healthy democracy, we need a little bit of conflict. But what we see today is beyond healthy. Why do we have so much conflict within our societies today?
And competition is an interesting one, because we are led to believe that competition is something that we should strive for. And competition can be good in the sense of it brings diversity and it puts people forward in trying their best. But if we value competition as an essential part of our societies, we also forget that in order to succeed, we need cooperation. Very few people can compete on their own, and therefore more effort should be put into actually learning how to cooperate in ways that are good for both parties.
This has to do with human communication ultimately, and what are the challenges that human communication and interaction are facing today?
Well, we have lots of devices to communicate, and we are literate in the sense of knowing how to read and write, but at the same time we forget that meaning is made not just by the person who is talking, but also by the listener. So by communication becoming one-sided or incomplete, when people do no longer engage with what the other one is saying, it is ultimately leading to conflict. And we all want the best to happen, but we have different opinions about what is the best and what is good. So very much our world is currently going through changes where egoism is seen as something good. We have billionaires that are seen as stars, even though they don't give back to communities very much. So competition has then gone wrong in only valuing the winners and not valuing the team that actually creates the winners.
And that is further exacerbated by technological advancements, particularly the use of social media and the advancement of AI now, is making human communication even more one-sided than before. What are your thoughts on that? What are the dangers of communicating through social media today?
So social media is exciting because it's of course knowledge that is created bottom up, but at the same time it's controlled within platforms, and therefore there's lots of filters on how this communication takes place. So in our schools we have traditionally been teaching only one mode of communication, the mode of communication that we were taught by, and it's very text-based and it's heavy on linguistic. But social media works in different ways. The modes it works is very much visual and it's auditory. So nowadays winning a presidential election, for example, is not so much about having the right messages to say, but knowing how to dance to a tacky song or something else that will then catch the attention of people who only looks at the surface and not at what stands behind the surface.
So what you're saying is that educators should change the way they educate, the methods, the modes. What else can educators do to tackle this issue?
The idea of multimodality is exciting because the different modes that exist, different people have different preferences in how they use different modes of communication. I'm, for example, standing here and shaking my hands even though I'm not communicating with my hands. So gestural communication is a strong component. But if we never put our finger on how people, what mode they prefer in education, then we never value it. If the only thing that we actually value are words and how they're written, then the other modes disappear and will never reach the prominence that they deserve.
Practically in the classroom, how would this look like?
So first of all, we need to rethink how we assess. The AI was a beautiful example you brought up because AI has definitely changed how assessments should be done. Because when ChatGPT became available to the public, I pushed all my old assessments through ChatGPT to see what kind of results would come out. And I was horrified to realize that I would never be able to see if a student has actually written it themselves. So I have gone away from lots of these textual assignments, and instead my assignments are visual, in that students have to create visual meaning making themselves. Of course there's AIs also doing that, but so far human-made and AI-created visuals are so different that a teacher can pick up. But rather than seeing an AI as a danger, also learning to use AI and learning students to critically analyze why does an AI give us these answers? What is it that their assumptions are built on, so that they get a digital literacy and a critical literacy where they can unwrap the knowledge that is being given. So my assignments are very much more about reflection now than being about content that can be given with a push of a button.
looking at it from the other side, you as an educator, has AI helped you to form your classroom content?
Oh yes, and things like rubrics, how I mark a class, are usually horrible to sit and think out what kind of levels do I need from an assignment, and using AI for things like this that are repetitive but are necessary is a great way of focusing time and effort on more productive things. AI is also helpful in that it actually gives me tools to teach critical literacy, because taking topics that students are familiar with, something from their home culture, something from sports or hobbies that they're doing, and feeding that into an AI and seeing what kind of answers gives them then the advantage of maybe knowing a little bit more, and then querying why did the AI give this answer.
It is a very inclusive process, which should be the case every time we're using technology and AI. Unfortunately, what we see today with social media and AI is that some narratives are being pushed and some are not. What does that say about the global societies, and what is the future of global societies?
I'm fortunate enough to supervise a PhD candidate who is also a vlogger. So she works professionally with vlogging and travel vlogging, and at the same time she does her PhD about the topic. And this have given me wonderful insights in how algorithms is also shaping the way that she creates her vlogs. When she's been experimenting with different kinds of videos and seeing that at what stage viewers are turning off and at what kind of topics are popular. So this shaping by popularity, shaping by visibility, then becomes also something that needs to be perceived. It would be wonderful as a teacher to see at what stage my students turned off, when I talk too much and they no longer listen to me. And that is something that I would love to see sort of an AI also figure out, because well, the students who fell asleep in the class, you see them, but you don't see the ones who then suddenly started dreaming away and thinking about other things.
It's very interesting what technology is doing to education. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here today.
A pleasure.
We enjoyed your presentation a lot.
Thank you so much.